Hello, para peeps, and welcome to the Now Debate. I'm Richard Oliver. I'm here with my good friend Jared Walters, as always, and we have
Hello.
a very special guest. All right, Jazzy?
I'm okay, dude. I'm okay.
Yeah, we got you. And I've got a very special guest tonight. We have on the show John Walls. Hello, John.
Hi, John.
Hi guys. Hey
All the
Jared.
way
Hey
from New
Richard.
Zealand.
All the way
Yeah,
from
yeah,
you're
yeah.
actually speaking to us from the future at the moment because in
I am.
where
Yeah,
you are, it's actually Thursday. I'm trying to get my head around that, and I still can't. It is
anything
actually
else?
Thursday where you are right now, and we're still stuck in boring old Wednesday.
Yeah. Back to the future.
Yeah.
Down in down in the Antipodes. Yeah.
Time travel, you saw it first on Paranormal Now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, this
So,
is
yeah, right. Well, let's tell them a bit about we're going to be discussing then.
Go. I'm leaving this one over to you, my friend.
Well, I'm having real trouble saying this word, but you are an abductee, we believe, John,
And contactee. Yes. I
and
started out an
contact.
abductee,
Yeah.
and now I'm a
Well,
contact.
well, I watched you. You obviously have a YouTube channel, right? And I've looked at some of the content on there. But obviously, for the viewers, you're going to be new. So if we can sort of start at the beginning and talk about the start of this journey for yourself,
Right at the
because I'm
beginning. I'll
fascinated
start
to
right.
find out. Yeah, if
Yeah.
you don't mind, if you could just sort of start there, and then we can move forward with questions.
Yeah. Well, right at the beginning, when I was born, um, I wasn't supposed to live. Apparently, I was in hospital for 6 months when I was born, but I didn't find that out till later in life. But at the age of 3, um, one night, I didn't I sort of remembered it. These are the memories that I have before I seen the hypnotherapist, right, in 2007. At the age of 3, the bugs came to the window and tapping on the window. What I call bugs. And at 3, they look like bugs, but they were greys. And they were terrifying. And I tried to scream. My brother seen them. He tried to scream. And we were looking at each other like, really freaked. I remember that. And basically, I just remember terror. And this happened for a while. I kept telling my parents about the monsters and the bugs coming to the window and taking us out, and they just dismissed it. And that took me a few more times that I didn't remember. But then on the 11th of the 11th, 1980, I had a motorbike accident, and I had a near-death experience. I was gone for about 4 or 5 minutes, and I came out of my body, and I was floating over my body, and my bike was mangled here, and I was lying on the road over here, and I floated above my body, and I was just watching myself and thinking, oh, is that all of this? Am I dead? And then there was a light above me, and I raised up to the light, towards the light, and to the left of the light was this old man in this white gown near the bed. He was a wise old man. He wasn't. I'm not religious. I'm into truth and knowledge, and I'm an old soul. I've apparently been there since the beginning. According to psychics, I've had quite a few psychic readings. I've actually never paid for a psychic, but I've had a lot of psychics who want to read me. So that's just the way it's worked out. And he told me I was very damaged. They could fix the soft tissue injuries, but they couldn't fix the bones because that was going against code. There's codes and laws and things on the other side. and through coming back, you have to go through pain. If you come back, it's not everyone has to, but because of the type of death that I was slated for, I had to go through pain to grow. And he said, well, I can send you back, but you have to do a task. And that task, at the time I didn't realise, but through hypnosis I found out that it was soul codes, and I knew it was something to do with the soul, and I had to learn the spiritual way. And I fought it, and I threw it away, and it come back and hit me in the head, and I'd throw it away again, and it come back and hit me in the head again. And all these strange things started happening. I started seeing ETs. They were paralysing me in my bed. They were bringing my mother in and making her calm me down, and that weren't working no more because I'd realised that they were using my mother or a facsimile of her soul or her soul to pacify me, calm me. And it wasn't until one night, and they scared the shit out of me. I hated them.
Was your mother passed at this point? Can I ask? You said you bring your mother in. Was your mother actually crossed over? Or...
My mother. Oh, sorry. Yes, my mother died when I was 7. Now, I have a memory, and it came out in hypnosis with Mary Rodwell. Have you heard of Mary Rodwell?
Yes, I have.
She's a famous. Yeah. She's given me the best hypnosis ever. Like, because I was doing a lot of hypnosis with Terry, but they weren't giving me what I wanted, if you know what I mean. They were giving me a lot of information, but they weren't giving me food for my soul, or, food to grow. It's hard to explain. It's hard to explain to an audience. So Mary Rodwell came over and I met her at the UFO group. And this was after I'd done 2020. I'd done an interview on 2020 where Terry hypnotized me and left all of it was a bad move, I think. Left all of the safeties off. So I had full range of expression, the full emotion, because that's what people on TV wanted to see, and that's what he wanted, right? Which sounded good at the time, but I think it was a bad move now. But it's out there, it's done, it's got to the people it needs to get to. It needed to get to certain people, like, and we went through. I went to hell and back about 3 times with all this, and over about 4 years. Over about 4 years, we done about 15 hypnosises, and then one with Mary Rodwell, and that was the best one because that showed me who I really was, how old I was, how long I've been here, other lives that I'd had as ETs, and that I'd come into this world basically to do a task.
Do you have a recording of the Mary Rodwell one, John?
No. Now this is where it gets tricky. Okay, because the being that I'm in contact with is a celestial. You know what a celestial is? Right?
Yeah.
That's 8, 9, 10. Okay.
Well, if you want to explain to the audience what a celestial is, if that's okay, John, or just give a brief overview, because I think I understand it, but they might not be able to.
Yeah, that's fine. To a Christian, a celestial would be a 6 or a 7, right?
What do you mean by a 6? Is that like dimension then, like a dimensional being?
6, 7th density, yeah.
Right, okay.
Dimensional. It's basically your vibration, a higher vibration.
Yeah.
But a celestial is someone that you would, if you've seen them, you'd think of them as an angel or a god.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah, I can understand.
Right? Yeah. They're beings of light. They're pure beings of golden light with, now I used to call it solid rainbow light going through their body. But I've done 3 interviews with Peter Maxwell Slattery. I don't know if you've heard of him, but I sent you a video on him. And he coined the term liquid rainbow light. And that fits it the best. It's still not right, but it fits it the best. And when I went with Mary under hypnosis, I turned into this big golden 18-foot being with these big wings, with this blood, rainbow blood running through my body, and you could see through me, like I was corporeal, like I was there, but I was see-through, semi-see-through. And that took me on a really big journey, and that taught me about the soul codes, about the Council of 12, the war within the Council of 12, the service to self 1, that battle, the entities that they let into the human bodies that weren't qualified to come to this density because it is so dense, and that they wouldn't have any empathy, they wouldn't have any conscience. They do horrific things like what's happening today with the, say, elite and all the things these people are getting busted for, all the pedophilia, all the rampant satanic ritual abuse, all of that sort of stuff. This is the generation that got let in. It started around the First World War. And I think if I remember, because we couldn't record it, she hit the record button, but it didn't work. So she said it was destined not to be out there at this point in time, my information.
Yeah.
But it's been a good 5-6 years since then. I've been going to get hold of her and do another one. She told me any time, but I just haven't done it yet. Basically the job that the man that I was talking about earlier on the left of the tunnel that I could have went through to go home was Armistice, and that's the race I'm from. And what happened was they came and visited me about a year after my near-death experience, and they came back from the future to put the soul codes in me, because they have to make sure that you're going to be viable when these soul codes, they're put into you. But there's millions of us, okay? There's not just me. You could be one. Jared could be one, you know? What they're there for is what they're calling the great event. There's over 1 million, there's probably millions of different ETs out there waiting and watching now for this great event, because they don't know when it's going to happen, but they know it's going to happen very soon. Okay? I'm looking between the end of 2020 and the end of 2025. I'm banking. I don't like doing dates, but I think we're going to see the start. We've already seen the start of it. This is the start of it. This is the separation of the wheat from the chaff. Right? I'm not a religious man, but I do know religious teachings, religious scriptures. I've gone through. I know enough to be dangerous with Hinduism, with Buddhism, with Christians. I believe in a higher power. I believe that we are great manifestors, and if enough of us believe that, say, Muhammad or Jesus lived, then Muhammad and Jesus lived, because the collective conscious pulls that together, and that makes a vibration. The vibration makes a light. The light and the vibration make condense into a solid, and that makes a reality, and it makes a timeline. And every choice we make, one human can change the whole timeline. And another thing that Amos has told me, and I've said it in all of my interviews, in one cell of the human body is the sum of all the parts of the flora and the fauna and the rocks and everything, and the vibration of this earth.
Holographic
and
universe.
Yeah, basically, yeah, a holographic universe. And that's when I started looking into the holographic universe. But a scientist, I think it was Nassim Haramein, if I remember correctly, because I told him about the Fibonacci sequence and the Mandelbrot set, how that works, because I got given that from Armistice. I've lost my train of thought. What was I talking? Sorry. I haven't had much sleep.
It's okay.
Well, yeah, just to let everyone know, it's like, what, 7 o'clock in the morning there, John, I believe.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you're doing a lot better than I would be at 7 o'clock in the morning, I can tell you that.
Yeah, me too, but we are so grateful for you coming on at this time. This is...
When I was working, I was up all hours. Sometimes I was up for 3 days in a row. I was working in a funeral home at the time, and you just stayed till the body stopped coming in, And when the body stopped coming in, you stop embalming. You stop, it's just the way it works.
Well, there's a couple of things that you've mentioned there that I do want to talk about, and I'm kind of writing a couple of notes because I think it'd be good to get a kind of an overview of the experience. Because you said you had after the accident there were several other experiences that we've talked about. One you said where you had experienced like a bit of time dilation, where you were gone for so long, and you experienced actually a lot longer. Is that okay to talk about, or?
Please, yes.
So
yes.
The first. Go, if you just if you want to give us an overview, and then obviously any questions, right. Then we can
a brief overview. It was my third abduction after my accident, right? And these were different ones as well. Again, it was a rogue element of grey. They come in, like I went to bed. What happened? I was watching some TV.
Yeah.
I went to bed, and I woke up 3 days later on the front veranda. The house had deadlocks, so you couldn't leave the house and lock the house without a key. And the windows only opened that much, so you couldn't get in the window anyway because they had them lock latches on them.
Yeah.
And I woke up to a kick in the bum from my brother, because I was living with my older brother at the time, 11 years older than me. And he said, "Where have you been for the last 3 days? I suppose you've been on the piss again," because I used to go disappear and for a day or two and get a bit drunk, And I said, "No, last I remember, I put my jammies on and I went to bed." And he said, "You've been gone for 3 days?" I said, "No." I said, It's Friday night." He said, "No, it's Sunday. Sunday night. Sunday morning." So it was Thursday night. It was Thursday night. No, Sunday. This is a long time ago. I was 17. I was gone for 3 days. But I never found out until with Mary, the hypnosis with Mary, that they'd taken me for 30 years. And I was working on a biosphere. Now I think it was with a race called Carillions. Okay, that's the best pronunciation I can make of it. and they had all sorts there. I was working in the medical. Basically every incarnation I've been in on this earth, I've been a medical person, and in this life, I've worked all with death. And in this life, most of my life, I've worked with death. Mm-hmm. First in the mortuary, then in funeral homes. Mary, we figured that they were using me in the medical bay, and I had flashes of bird beings, but not Corey Good style bird beings, not the blue chicken cult, right? I like his work. Don't get me wrong. I think he's partly correct, but these bird beings were more humanoid, and they only basically had feathers sort of going back on their head a little bit in the sides, mm-hmm. and they weren't blue. They were more like a parakeet type colour, and there were greys, mantids, blobs, but we never got to see the owners, basically, of the biosphere. I do remember standing in the great room where with corridor, this thing was huge. I mean, like, we were just in one little part of it, servicing one little part of the health needs. And I remember standing and at this window, this big window, just looking out into the blackness, and then looking back and seeing the corridor going forever with doors, just door. And it would take you go through a door and it takes you to another part of the ship. It's not like a door into a room. And one of the parts...
That's weird. I've seen something similar to that. That's weird. That's like provoked a memory or something when you said it. I've seen that before. I don't know where I've seen that before. I have seen that before, and it's like when you go into the door, it's like you're in, like you can go into like another time or another place or
another time. Yeah.
That's bizarre. That's actually like freaked me out slightly.
My favorite. Yeah, go. Yeah.
It's just.
Well, I have some questions. Sorry, Jazzy. Can I ask?
Rich, can I just articulate this a second so it feels it's important. Yeah, sorry, John.
You're right.
I've used that.
I'm real easy.
I've used that in meditation as well with people, where I've actually used like a corridor of doors, and I've kind of like it's like weird. I can kind of remember that. It is, and it's just it's an odd thing. Have you had that reaction in people before?
Yeah. Like not just with that, but with lots of stuff. I trigger lots of things in lots of people. Okay. But
sorry.
What? How that? You're right.
Yep.
My favorite place in the whole place was the recreation room. It was huge. Like, it was the size of probably half of London. And it was a big glass dome on the top, and you could see straight out into the black space. It had restaurants for all different types of beings, and you just pushed a button. This is all before Emery Smith, like come out and talked about med beds and food replicators, and I was talking about that way before he came out, and that's why I like Emery Smith so much. Have you heard of Emery Smith? Mm. Yeah, a lot of people out there would have, if they're into anything alternate. And the same as the 30 and back, right? In the 30 and back, I was talking about this in 2007. Corey Good never came out for another 5 or 7 years. I predicted, Armistice told me about the Gulf oil spill 2 years before it happened.
Sorry, Richard. I didn't mean to be rude. I just needed to get... That was having a bit of an effect on me. I didn't mean to be rude to you.
No, you're right.
What questions did you have, Brad? Sorry.
Yeah, have you got a question?
No, I had a question. So what's happening now then, John? Do you still feel like being abducted? Or have you swapped that for communication in a sense? Do you understand what I mean?
Communication. Yeah. Oh, no, it's a relationship now. What happened was when I went from the Greys to the Celestials, the first time a Celestial shows themselves to you, right, they have to show, they can't show, well, they can, but they don't like to. They don't like to show themselves to you as themselves. They show yourself, well, Armistice kept coming to me as this old guy with the beard and, the old wise man. It wasn't till 2000, and I've got it written down here somewhere. I've got a little... wasn't until about, I think it was about 2010. He actually turned up on my balcony and took me for a ride in the ship. I was outside having the smoke. By that stage, my partner knew all about it. But
did the accident stop the Greys, John? Did it? Did the accident stop the Greys? What happened to stop the Greys? What happened?
Oh, yeah.
Was it the accident?
Well, what happens when you die? Okay, right. When you're born, when your fontanelle grows over, it starts a chemical gateway in your pineal gland or near your pineal gland that closes off the spiritual realm. And some people and psychics can open it a little bit, What happens when you die and come back, to a lot of people, not everybody, but if you've been gone long enough, it breaks the gateway. And you've basically got constant chatter going up. But it's not like, it's more like psychic, but not psychic. It's not like schizophrenic. Do you know what I mean? I don't hear voices. Yeah. I get pictures and impressions. And it's actually a freaky feeling. I thought I was dying for about 2.5 years. My sister-in-law wanted to put me into a mental home. And I nearly let her. That's how bad I'd got. Until one day I went, well, I've got to figure out about this, And I found the Monroe Institute and learned to go out of body, because I'd gone out of body on and off all my life. So I learned how to go out of body properly, and I started confronting different beings out of body. And I started out real angry, fighting. And my weapon of choice was a sword. Okay, and I kept fighting all these demons and fighting them. And one day just trying to play with meditation and using the Monroe Institute guidelines from the Gateway program that I was in the middle of doing at the time. I got told, put out pure unconditional love. So the next time I went in, I put out pure unconditional love, and they just with it. They just gone, and that's when I started to learn. That's when I started to be contacted by, Armistice. But before that, when I was taken for 3 days and gone for about 30 years, right, and I came out with this years before For a Good came out with it, right, so I think he's partly credible on that, because this is what happened to me. And I remember bits and pieces and lots more since I've had the hypnotherapy with Mary, because it's brought out a lot in the noggin. How that ended was we are in a war. We are in a war. We've been in a war for a long time. It's intergalactic, and now it's coming to Earth. It's hitting here now. That's why we're seeing so many UFOs. They're protecting us, a lot of them, right? And the ones that aren't ours. even ours. There's two sides. There's the side service to other side, and there's the service to self side in the human what they call the secret space force. Yeah, secret space program. And these wars aren't fought like you and I would fight a war. They're fought with light. They're fought with energy. They're fought with time, right? What'll happen is, this is the way I see it. You shoot at, you go back, say we're in 2020, right? Say we're in the now, okay? We're always in the now, no matter where you are. You go back to 1987 and know exactly where I am, shoot at me and come back and see if I'm still there, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? Use that, and these weapons, we can't even. I've been given the pictures of the weapons in my head, and I still can't comprehend them. And I know, and I've taught myself basic quantum physics. Okay. So what happens is this ship sees a distortion in the time continuum, the time field. So it bumps to another time. So the missile goes straight through and misses you. But the computers are so quick on these ships. They're not computers. It's actually AI. Everything's AI driven. Everything. It's too far. Some of these ETs, some of the higher ETs, the Celestials, can think fast. The only one that I've seen that can think faster than an AI or an AI computer is a Celestial. Basically an angel, or a god being. Well, we were in the middle of a scuffle, and the ship got badly damaged, and my area was hit, and I was badly damaged. So they put me back in my body. Otherwise, I was going to be there for the rest of my life. They weren't going to bring me back. The only reason they brought me back was because I was damaged, and they regressed me and put me back in my body.
So were you in a different body then for that 30 years?
No, I was actually taken.
So
I was taken.
You were physically taken then?
I was physically taken. And see, like when Corey Good talks about they've got to be in a prone position, and they're giving them all these drugs, and they're regressing them back for 6 months or whatever it was, or 3 weeks, or I can't remember how long. I don't follow them that much. But that resonated in me because that's lower technology than these Corellian type beings were using, right? They just put you in a machine and zap you back into your body. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, or put you in a machine and reverses your body back 30 years and zaps your body back down to the ground. That's why I was only in my underwear. To this day, I don't know where my pajamas. Back in the day when I used to wear pajamas, I don't know where my pajamas went. To this day, I've never found them. But apparently, I wasn't supposed to come back. They wanted me out of the picture, and that's when Armistice came in and saved me and said, "No, leave him. He's mine."
So was their motives in taking you for the 30 years nefarious then? Were they on the bad side or the good side, or are they just on their own side?
None of them are the bad side or the good side. That's a human concept.
Yeah. Okay.
But they were indifferent. Does that make sense? They weren't, like we call the good side someone that is on the same agenda as us, and we call the bad side someone who's on the opposite agenda as us. Like Earth's in the middle of an experiment. That's a big, long experiment. Earth's been here. Right. Now, Armistice told me Earth has been here for 3 trillion years. They've traced their lineage back for 30 trillion years. And that's about as far back as they can go. But they don't know where they came from before that. The universe is about, according to Armistice, about 30 trillion years old, not 3.5, 2.5 billion or whatever it is, 3.5 billion. And the Sphinx, the pyramids, the probably 30, I think it was 30,000, you said, pyramids around the world are all at least 100,000 years old, and the Sphinx is 574 or 72 years old, 572,000 years old.
Doing
and
well,
made
man.
from one block. So yeah, it is. It's doing really well. But see, these things are energy. They're energy machines. They were put here in the early days to stabilize the Earth. And then we got the moon. And they're also power reactors. The elite know all about it. You know, they've had Vimanas for years. Hitler got the Hanabu from 1931, I think, or no, 1929. 1929. I think it was 1929 crash in Austria, and they back engineered that and got the Hanabu out of that. You know, Werner von Braun.
Yeah.
And that, he helped on that one. They don't let you know that in the history books. That.
So, what's the relationship you have now with how often do you speak with Armistice, and where are you now with all of this? Like,
well, Armistice is taking a back seat for the moment. We've got another one called George. Okay, he's under Armistice.
Okay.
They're out there fighting the war. He comes and sits in this actual chair. Don't talk through me. He talks through my wife. I talk directly to him, and he answers me. One night, we were sitting here, and she just jumped up on top of the chair and said, "There's someone sitting in that chair over there, on the couch over here." And she said, "It's not human." My wife's psychic as well. She was psychic when she was young, and she got it talked out of her, you know, like as kids do.
Mm-hmm.
And then when she got pregnant with our son, my youngest son, I got two other kids, two other people. But as soon as she got pregnant, she just went snap psychic, as you know, and asking me questions. There's all these people asking me to ask you to send them over, because that's what I'd been doing. I've been doing the Gateway program and the Lifeline program.
I know how that feels.
Yeah, the Gateway program is getting used to being on the other side, you know, like Focus 10 to Focus 27, getting up through the mud, and Focus 10's the first actual vibration where there's no real bad guys.
Yeah.
You know, that's just the area where everything waits to come down at the right time for everybody. Yeah, it just sits there. It's wait. When then you go to the Lifeline program, and you learn to connect with the Mother Earth and the liquid crystal ball in the center.
Mm-hmm.
And you go out, and what happens then is guides. Sometimes when people die, as you know, turn into ghosts, or they get stuck in certain vibrations, and they can't see the guides because they still think they're alive, or they think they're in a hell or a purgatory. And what the guides do is they use us in our outer body to go in, and because they can see us because they think they're still alive, but they can't see the guide. So we get to, sometimes it takes what's called a push, like a big push of pure unconditional love. Yeah. And then all of a sudden they'll see over my shoulder.
We have several examples of this on the channel where we've actually done these types of things where the ghost box is running, and
I've seen I've been doing that. I've been doing that
so
for
these
years.
programs, like the Gateway program and that sort of thing, are these human programs? Like I know obviously the Monroe Institute is what basically pioneered astral projection. Was it Robert Monroe? Was it? I can't remember the guy's first.
Yeah, Bob. Yeah,
Robert
yeah,
Monroe
yeah.
was the
Bob and Nancy Monroe. Yeah,
and
yeah.
the Adventures Beyond the Body, I believe, was the book that was written.
Journeys Out of the Body.
Journeys Beyond the Body. I think Adventures Beyond the Body was like the second one then. Yeah, so the Gateway program, is this a human program or is this something to do with the ETs?
No, it's a human program. The Gateway program and the Lifeline program, these books and the lessons were basically given to me by armistice.
Right, so they are books that you've written then, yeah?
Yeah, like what would happen was I'd get a funny feeling. Yeah. And this was in real early days of computers. When well, my brother had what's called a microbee. That's how old it was. Like you had the 32K 32 kilobyte hard drive back in them days, in the 80s, late 80s, a little bit later. And I come across one of his books, and I got told I had to buy it straight away. Buy it. You know, but I didn't know it was, and I'd been influenced, and I was told to go to New Zealand. You know, I'd met a lady from New Zealand, but before that, I was told to go to New Zealand, and I didn't. And then I met a lady from New Zealand, and I ended up moving to New Zealand, and I've stayed. And basically the same way I met Terry. You know, I don't like the idea of going to a spiritualist centre. I don't like that they're all up themselves, and they all think that their power is better than the next person's power, and you know, so I like these guys. You stay humble, but like it's not their fault. I realise this. Like I see what happens. Like you start out humble and wanting to learn, and you think you've got a gift or something tells you inside your head you've got a gift, and then you start getting good, and you start getting an ego, and you start thinking you're better than. Then I'm better than you, and you get jealous. And this is what I was seeing. Spiritual stuff. I didn't last there long. Basically, as soon as I found Terry, because I've been trying to find someone to hypnotise me for years, but I couldn't find anybody. And this was before I found out about Mary Rodwell. I only found out about Mary through the Tauranga UFO Society. Her best friend lives here in Tauranga. Okay, she lives in Queensland, and her best friend, and she's here quite a bit. And she came to the meeting to watch me. To have a talk, and she wanted to meet me, and I felt a little bit like a show pony that night, and I didn't know who she was, so I didn't tell her. She wanted to hear the story, and I said no. And something kept telling me you did the wrong thing there. You did the wrong thing, and about 6 months later, I rang her up. I found a phone number on her website, and I rang her up. She remembered me. She said she'd been waiting for me to call, and we had our hypnosis, and basically confirmed everything that that I was thinking and was right, and it changed me again from even being hypnotized from Terry. But the first hypnosis were a little bit traumatic. And the memories that came back, they were very, very traumatic. I wouldn't do it again. If I had the chance to do it again, I'd think twice. I'd probably still do it, but I'd think twice. But some of the things I wouldn't have went live. I wouldn't have went on 2020 New Zealand in full hypnosis mode with no emotional protection.
Yeah.
You know, where he let the action come out and didn't stop it because he wanted the effect of the TV, you know, whereas I just wanted there were certain people that needed to hear my story. And I think most people have heard it. But the reason I basically sent you guys the video was to show you what I perceive to be an authentic channeling. Because I know I was this fluffy, white, beautiful cloud space. A couple of times I popped in and said a few things that were fuzzy, and then I popped back up to the beautiful, this plane of bliss. Just, you're there. Time don't mean nothing, you know. Like in that episode, I was out an hour and a half, and it felt like about 5 minutes, maximum, you know. And that's when it all
mind
took
if I
off.
ask? Can I ask you before we went live, John? You was explaining to me about your son.
Yes.
You stopped him being abducted. Would you talk about that? Because I know, through paranormal now, I've investigated. Me and Jazz have investigated people who claim to be abducted, and it's always been something that it's a difficult subject because you can't really go to anyone with it because there is no one really to go to. You've got to deal with it on your own, and it is a funny subject. I'd like to know how you dealt with it.
There's a lot more people now you can go to than there was in 1980. In 1980, I was talking about this, and they wanted to put me in the nut house. Okay, so it's a lot easier for people these days who have had an abduction. That's why more people are coming forward. But I came forward. Basically, I've been talking about it all my life since it happened, since 17. But I actually really came forward properly in 2007 when we done the 2020 program. But my son was 3 years old. 3 is when they first get you, okay, and they implant you. I've got an implant here. It was there, dent, right there, right. No scar. My bone feels like it's had a hole drilled in it and then countersunk. I've got one in the back of my neck, and I've got one sort of abdo, but they can't be detected. They're what you call they're bio implants because they're from the ETs. The ones that we're seeing, like Roger Lee gets, are from the regenerate ETs. The ones that aren't much higher than us, where the ones I've got are from the higher guys. And they meld with your own DNA. Well, they use your own DNA and they just change it, mix it about. But what happens is I get a feeling when something's about or something's going to happen. And sometimes there's a light. And I'll go to bed and I'll see orbs flying about. Like 4 weeks ago, I was sitting here and I've got a big table here, a big coffee table, old antique one. And an orb came fluttering in around out underneath, that far from about to here, right? It was about that round. And all of a sudden the inside, it was golden. All of a sudden the inside started to change and there was something inside it fluttering its wings. And it went back under the table and never came back out. And I went, wow, I'm looking around for it everywhere. Couldn't see it. Couldn't find it nowhere. And that lasted about 15, 20 seconds. But them sort of things happen to me all the time. But like this night, I was in bed and I was having a bad night because I've got a bad back, and some nights I sleep reasonably light, and I seen this blue light just coming up the hallway, up into the bedroom, and I went, right, they're coming. I thought they were coming for me, and I just felt like the wrong energy. It wasn't the right. You can feel what energy it is, and it felt like dark energy. So I rang. I thought, I'm going to get these bastards, And I get to the hallway, comes down, bathroom, toilet, my son's room. right? So bathroom, toilet, my son's room. And there's a corridor going down to the toilet. He was standing at the end of the corridor in a blue beam of light like this, with his feet that far off the ground. And I just jumped into the light and grabbed him. And as I grabbed him, he dropped. Yeah? And lifeless. Excuse me, language. I thought, oh, bugger, they've killed him. And then he went, and he said, oh, I don't like them ones, Daddy. I don't like them. They hurt me. I like the ugly ones. They're nice to me. And he started crying. I calmed him down and put him to bed. And he remembered it for quite a while, but he only has a vague recollection of it now. And have you heard of a man named Richard Boylan?
Rings a bell. I couldn't place where from.
Richard Boylan is a child ET specialist, ET abduction specialist, and a psychic, and he can tune into people's bioresonance. Mm-hmm. And I seen him. I'd been talking to him on Facebook for a while. It was back when I used to use Facebook. I don't use it no more. I haven't used it for quite a few years now, probably 7, 8 years. And I sent him a pic of my son, and he said he's got real strong energy around him. He's got some real light ones looking after him, but the dark ones decided they'd come and have a look and see if they could slip him out and slip him back. And they woke me and made me stop it. And then they reprimanded them and said that he's off limits. Same as parents.
Why do the dark ones take people then? Why do the like the light ones? As far as I'm aware, with the light ones, it's a prior arrangement before you're here. Yes. Before you're here, so it's and we've had that where we've dealt with. We've been told that by the Council of 12.
Yes.
But with the dark ones, what's their agenda then?
The dark ones. Well, there's two. It's a two-pronged sword. Some agree to it before they come down. By the sound of it, I did, right, as a lesson. Okay.
Okay.
And others, it's for loosh, food, labour, and because they can. You know, you heard of the Tall Whites?
Yes.
Millennial Hospitality by I forget his name now. Doesn't matter. They do things because they can. They're the highest of the 3D. They're higher than us, but they're lower than us because they've got less genetics in their body and they haven't got God spark like we've got. But they think faster. They're stronger. They run rings around us, but they don't run rings around us spiritually. They run rings around us physically, but they don't run rings
around us spiritually. Are you still with us, John?
I think his Skype call is froze there, John.
Yeah.
Should join us now in a second.
We'll just join us on the chat. So just going to take a quick look at the chat while we're waiting for John to rejoin us. I want to say hello to Adrian, hello to Lisa, hello to Sean as well. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you guys who are watching this stream. It's very interesting. Richard, what are some of your thoughts at the moment as we... I'm sorry for cutting you off there. When he said that, it kind of provoked something in me, and it was a very strange feeling.
Yeah, no, it's okay, Jack. I can tell you wanted to get it out. It's the same. It's the weirdest thing is it's the same.
It's the same message, isn't it?
It's the same story as my own message.
Yeah,
it's got the same. It's the same. You know, from my experience of meditation, and everything else. And it's that God spark, when he said that, the God spark, which I was told about in meditation, that we have the God spark, and that's what some of the beings are looking for.
Yeah.
And looking, which I've always said. I've said it in my own story.
You've always said it on the channel. Yeah. You have. We're just
they are looking for the connection between us and the divine, and because they can't fathom it. It's mad. I don't know. It's a mad thing. It's the same story.
Well, what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and see if we can get hold of John, because he has messaged us, I believe, but I can't see it on my screen. So what I'll try and do, should I restart the Skype call, Rich?
Yeah, restart the Skype call, and we'll also go back into this.
hang on, no, he's coming back. We've got him back. We've
got
John back.
I
lost you for quite a while there.
It's okay, John. It's okay. Thank you for coming back to us. We were just saying how there's so many things. We were both saying there, where you said about the God spark. This is something that Richard was saying that we have spoke about. We have had this when we had our communication. When we did the now investigations. I just want to bring a couple of points up to you. The first thing is when you said about you going live with your information and where you kind of shouldn't have. I can completely identify that with that, because it was almost like, in a sense, that we did the now investigations the way we did it, and it's because I had a dream. Now, you are aware of the now investigations experiments that we did back in 2017. Are you not? When we did the communications through the ghost box. Well, we did them live.
I watched the first ever ghost box. I was watching you before the ghost box, when you were playing with it, trying it out. And,
we did them live, and we did them live, and went through the transcription process and realised there was such a lot of information there which shouldn't have gone out live. And I don't mean that in a sort of, it was dangerous information. It was more to do, there was so much personal stuff in there, as well as there being stuff about the world and that sort of thing. And I think there was a lesson in that for me. Do you think that was the same for yourself?
Yeah, especially with the 2020 interview. There was a big lesson in that. And my lesson was to, just because you can do it,
doesn't mean you should.
Doesn't mean you should. You've got to be spiritually ready as well as physically ready.
Yeah.
And I wasn't spiritually ready. And I had to jump back. Yeah, I had to jump back because it was taking a toll. It was making me sick, especially after I done Project Camelot. I done their first ever call like this. What do they call it? Stream. Live stream.
With Kenny Cassidy, was it?
Yeah, and it was a total disaster. It stayed up. It was so scratchy and so bad. She only kept it up for about a month, 2 months. But after that, every time I channeled, I got really sick. And I don't know if they whacked me with something while I was with her. The armistice was always saying, we'll protect you the best we can, but we can't protect you from yourself.
I can understand that. Completely.
Wise words.
I've learned a lot. I've learned that we are all eternal beings of light. We don't die. We're just having a brief moment in a beautiful human biosuit that gives us the feeling. Well, when we're out of body, and we're back in light form, we've still got the feeling. We just can't express the emotion and the feeling that we're having, and that's why we choose to have a moment in a light suit. in a human bodysuit, because it's a magical, wonderful experience, and apparently I've had thousands of them. I keep coming back. Did you get a chance to read my soul report from Gary Carlson?
I didn't.
I check your soul. I check your soul.com.
I didn't actually have a look at that one. I looked at everything else, but that was the one thing I didn't get round to today. To having a look at. But did you, Rich?
That's all right.
What was that? What was?
Because I checked your soul. It was from Gary Carlson. It tells you how much karma you use, how much karma you've got, how much bad karma you've got, how much good karma you've got. I could have ascended 3 cycles ago. Now a cycle's 25,000 years. I keep coming back because I want to be here, and my karma points. I had 25 bad karma points, and I had 1,800 and something good karma points. To ascend, you need about 600 good karma points. So I've got plenty in reserve. But if you get a chance, read that document, because this man is really good, and he got told by his guides, because he does it through, same sort of thing I do. He got told to do it for me for nothing, free. I do everything for everybody else for free, and it comes back to me. Like Mary was told to do mine for free. Gary was told to do it for free. Terry always charged other people, always done mine for free, but he made money off the book. So I was told by Armistice that I wasn't allowed to make any money off the book. My rewards are coming later, but that's your rewards in heaven are made on earth. So
it's the reason I never charged for the paranormal, John. Because of the lessons I learned with my contact with the other side through meditation. But because they said you'll never be able to put a value on the spiritual rewards you'll have for helping others. So I do understand what you mean by that.
So how did you become attracted to our channel then, John? Because given the story you've gone through, and you were around before we did the No Investigations, which is only...
I get told.
So what have you been told about our journey then? I'm really intrigued. Now.
I don't get told in words. I get told in what seem to be... It's the best human way to put it is in pictures.
Yeah.
And feeling. Yeah, it's more like a psychic. It's not quite. It's half psychic. I like to call it half psychic. Right? I've always been an empath. I've always been able to feel what other people are feeling, and my son's got the same. My youngest son's got the same gift.
Yeah.
He says, I don't like being around certain people, Dad, because I can feel what they're feeling, and I know when they're angry, and I know. He's he's 15. Jeez, that's he's gone quick. He's 15 in a couple of months, and he's doing really good considering he died 3 times, and he's had his gateway opened. He sees things, like the resident grey. We've got a little resident grey that pokes his head around the door.
Yeah.
Everyone in the house has seen him, but my son sees him the most. They came to him. Armistice says in one of the channelings that I do that they get asked, are they going to abduct your boy? That's what Terry asked. I asked Terry to ask. Sorry, that I didn't want them abducting my boy, and they said, well, we won't abduct him. It will be his choice. Yeah. He will come freely. And about 4, and they said we'll probably start about 6. We had that incident at 3, and 2 years ago. 12 going on 13. He's 14 going on 15 now. He came to me and said, Dad, they came to the beings, and he described them. Yeah, and he was right. And he said they came to me last night and they asked me, did I want to come with them? And he said, no, ask me when I'm 30. And I said, well, mate, 30's too late. I said, next time they come, and I'm teaching him how to go out of body as well. And he's getting there. He's lucid dreaming. He's remembering his lucid dreams. He's been able to be in control of his dreams. Teach him how to protect himself. He's had a few borderline out of bodies, and been out of body like where he can't control it. But I told him, I said, ask him to come back, only for your best possible good, best possible and highest good, and just tell them to come and check on you every year or two, because I said in 2 or 3 years you might be ready. You know, you weren't at 12, but you might be at 16. You know, but he knows he's been brought up with what I do, but I've shielded him from it. But he still knows a lot more than he should, than any kid his age, like spiritually.
Yeah,
he's blown me away. He's so good, and he's so kind and gentle. You know, he just doesn't get rolled up at all. I don't think I've ever, his whole life, ever seen him angry.
So,
I can tell you a couple of things. I got a lot of stuff written down. You know, if you want to ask questions, ask questions. But
there's two more questions. There's two more questions I wanted to ask. Richard, is there anything you wanted to ask before I do ask these two last questions?
No, go on, Jess. No, you ask, it's just in case of the same questions.
Right, the two questions was, you said you had contact with the Council of 12, and you talked about the war within the Council of 12. I'm intrigued about that. I'm intrigued about that because we have had things about that come up in the Now investigations. We've not released them on the channel because
I was going to ask you, could you ask them? Yes. I was going to ask them about the war.
I can ask you about that, but I know that we have had, from what I know, there were some of the lower beings were once part of the higher beings.
Yes.
And they basically rebelled. And
they got to kick up the bum and demoted, yes. Yeah.
And basically, from what I know, this isn't from our investors, this is from other sources, that what happened with humanity is that they took away the 12th dimension. They moved the 12th dimension slightly out of phase. So the higher spiritual knowledge, you've got to look for it. Rather than having it naturally, you have to look for it. And that actually shouldn't be. We should have it naturally. But because of what was been done to us, that's what... And like you said, the war with the Council of 12, it feels like, from what I know of them, and Richard would know a lot more than I do, and please chime in whenever, Rich. They are the ones, almost like, I don't know whether they're responsible for Earth, or they are... It's almost, it feels like the buck stops with them on this level of reality then.
Yes, the buck starts and stops with them. From what I can gather, the war's over. The good guys lost for a little while, but then they got back in control. But while the good guys were out, I think it was between the First World War and just after the Second World War, if I remember correctly, from my channel, from channelings, and because half the channelings I don't really remember, and I get bits and pieces, but then I watch it if it's been videoed, or I read the transcript. And what happened was they let in unviable souls that, when the bad guys got in, just for a little while, they let unviable souls that weren't ready for this density in, and they don't get they don't get any empathy. They don't have. They're just evil.
So, but haven't these sort of unviable souls or the control system that they represent then been here for thousands of years?
Yeah. But it's what we've got to remember as well, right? They don't war like us. It's a time war, right?
Right. Okay.
They can go from 1,000,000 years into the future, back to the beginning of time in the blink of an eye. That's how powerful these beings are. If they want this experiment Earth to end, they could end it, but there'd be blowback. And the blowback that they get wouldn't be worth it to them. Okay? They're not bad. They just had a bumpy time for a while, where the lower ones that got kicked up the bum and got kicked out decided that they were going to act like BLM. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But I don't know how long it went for. It could have went for 30 seconds our time, or 30 seconds their time, or a day their time, but in our time it could have been 1,000 years.
Yeah.
This is what we've got to realise. When we're working with celestials,
yeah.
They can go 1,000 years and it's a second to us, or they can go a second and it's 1,000 years to us. Yeah. It doesn't matter to them. Time is irrelevant. You've got to take time out of the equation when you're talking to a celestial.
So what's the purpose of this war then? That we're going through now.
Throwing their toys out the cot. What you were talking about earlier, the unruly ones got reprimanded and kicked out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Earth lost its 12 strands, right? And we got back to 2 strands, right? And that gave the opportunity for some of the factions, because there are good factions and bad factions, but when you have a fight, you don't always get rid of all the bad factions.
Yeah.
And until you can get all the bad factions, even if you've got one of them that's bad, and that's what I'd heard, was one of them was bad, right? And he was letting in souls that weren't supposed to be here.
Yeah.
And when I had the hypnotherapy session with Mary, I seen all these souls going back into the blackness like this, yelling out, "Help, help!" And I was crying, I was blubbering. And the guide that was with me said, "Don't cry for them. They are not human souls, and it is not their time. They are archonic souls. It is not their time." And
so they are trying to subvert the evolutionary ladder. Then they are souls that haven't evolved yet to a point where they can understand empathy. They're trying to jump the gun. Then I suppose
they're trying to get out of university without the certificate.
Yeah, and do the job.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can understand that. The second thing I wanted to ask was, you said that Armistice gave some prophecies for what was happening in 2020. What has he had to say about the coronavirus lockdowns and everything else? I've probably just demonetized us now, haven't I? It's a good job we don't do anything from this. It's a good job we do this for the fun. But what's he said about the current times then that we are currently in?
The current times have been brought forward. What Armistice says, right, is we are such powerful manifestors, as in the human vessel. We're bigger ones out of it, but inside the human vessel, we are. They many ETs call us royalty, because of the God spark. Not many beings have God spark.
Why do we have it and they don't then? Sorry to cut you off.
Well, no, that's fine. Well, everyone has a soul, right? Mm-hmm. And even rocks. But most souls go to collectives. Whereas the human soul, when it leaves the vessel, it stays autonomous. It doesn't go back to a collective. Yeah.
So why is that then? What makes us so special?
Well, Armistice gave me some research to do.
Okay.
And it was about the feather of life.
Okay.
So who says the feather of life? Yeah. The feather of life, right? When Anu and Ka,
that's a big topic.
Were making human beings, right? Or trying to make a viable worker that was going to be obedient, but bright enough to look after themselves.
Yeah. Okay.
They made the Anunnaki.
Yeah.
Okay. The Elohim made the Anunnaki, but they were too much like the Elohim, and they rebelled and took off. But they were still a collective high spirit.
Yeah.
When they made human, they mixed themselves, a reptilian type, and Bigfoot. Okay, and they'd done this in Gosford, Australia. Okay, first man was the Aborigine, not the black man, not the what do you call it?
African.
African.
Not the black African. Okay, this is proved by the Proto-Egyptian hieroglyphs and that in the Gosford glyphs. Look up the Gosford glyphs. Look up Strong, Brian, Evan Strong, Stephen and Evan Strong, and the Gosford glyphs, and it tells you the story of the start of humanity and the Aborigines and the Palladians or whoever they were, Elohim, wrote in these glyphs, and the Australian government's been trying to bulldoze them for years, and because of the Strong brothers, they've made it a national treasure, national archive, treasure. So no, that's it now. But they've tried to damage. They've damaged half of it, and it tells of them coming down and mixing these beings together and make. But what happened? Look, so I'm getting off track. They asked the Celestials for help. Okay, because they were getting a bit stuck, and a bird being came down and gave them one of the feathers, and said, "Use this." But these beings were great geneticists. So what they did, they didn't only give it to us, but they tried to give it to themselves as well, and it didn't work. And because it didn't work on them, Enlil, right, and Karzinki, right, and there's other names for them as well, but I just like to use Enlil and Kar. Enlil he was scared that we were going to one day overcome them. So they shortened our life, and he was still worried. He still couldn't handle it. That car said, right, so he grabbed our whole heap and took them to one side while in the ark. This is getting Noah's Ark wrong. right? And well, Enlil flooded the earth. And because he was so incensed that we could become better than them, that they wanted us wiped out. And that's where we get the individual God spark, is because we have the DNA of the tens, the head celestials. We have the signals. We're signed off. We're basically signed off by the tens to become them eventually.
So what's Armistice said then about our time now? Then is he saying?
Yes, right now. Yes, things have been moved up faster because a certain orange man that wasn't supposed to win, but he had Celestials. He's working with the Celestials. I know this, right? Now, as I say, I predicted the Gulf War spill. It's in the book, right? Oil spill 2 years before it happened. Wait there, I'm just going to have a quick look here. I know I've got it written down. Just so it jogs my memory. No, I haven't got it written down.
Well, I have a question,
right,
John.
yeah.
Can I just ask you a question? We've got a question in the comments from Adrian. He wanted me to ask you about the satellites that have been 5G. Going up in the sky, like Elon Musk's, and everything. Has that got anything to do with the coming war?
That's got to do with the Lucifer experiment. Basically the negative service to selves want to wipe out 2/3 of humanity. Right now, they gave us a virus. When they put it in the chemtrails and the flu vaccinations and childhood vaccinations. They put it in the vaccinations. It's got a gestation period naturally for 30 years. Okay? But they can speed that up with 5G. Now, there's an archonic, if you watch my videos, there's an archonic element to it. And that archonic element can be triggered with 5G, and it can cause mass death. But only a certain type of 5G, certain frequency and a certain type of 5G. But they tried to do it, but they got stopped at a certain city in China by the Celestials. And it's in the process of all being swept under the carpet. I think that part of it is going to be gone and over, because they want it in 3 stages to kill 3/4 of the world population. They can't do it all at once because it will kill them. Because too many souls die at once, right? You've got mass migration, mass negative energy going out, which they love that because they love it, Solush, yeah? But what will kill the human most is the disease from all the dead people. So what they have to do is do it in different stages. The first stage was injecting people, which gave people autism, killed a certain amount, starved them with Monsanto, given them food that wasn't nutritious. Phase 2 was electromagnetic warfare, and phase 3 was basically round up and shoot what's left. And, worst case scenario, go in their bunkers and nuke the planet. Because a nuked planet will come back in 100. They don't have to go downstairs for 100 years if they nuke the planet, and they'll come back up to a beautiful world. They don't care. They don't think things through. And about 2012, just before, did you notice them all starting to go crazy? All the elites starting to go crazy because there was a barrier put around the Earth, and the few Dracos and the few regenerate ETs that were left here couldn't get out, and all the ones stuck out here that were called out on a fool's errand, right, before they put the thing up, were stuck out, and they can't communicate with each other. They can't get through the barrier. The barrier's still there. Good says it's gone, but it's not gone, and it's a different type of barrier than he's talking about, and it was before this was even before he was talking about it. And they started to panic, and what's happening now, and Trump coming up to where he is, and Orange Man, and all the uprising you see. And people are picking sides. It's the pick side phase, yeah? And it looks like the light side's won, but Armistice has already said the light side's already won. You just got to play out the theatre. No matter what happens in the next election, Trump wins. God wins. That's a thing from Q, but it resonates with me. He's definitely got the Celestials on his side. And I've got it written down somewhere here. After sorry, I got to get new glasses.
It's okay, dude. It's okay.
After the Celestials are working with Trump, but they've just got to wait for the right time to push the button. Okay, everything's got to be perfect. Everything's got to be aligned, electromagnetically, Birkeland currents, star alignment. It's so big that the average human mind can't comprehend when the right time is to push a button. Human can't do it. Okay? I was told by Armistice that, and it's been confirmed by Blossom Goodchild, that when they do hit that button, within weeks, they'll all be cleaned up. It's just got to hit breaking point. They've got to whack it right at breaking point, because if they leave it too long, the breaking point is over and the bad side's got the upper hand, or the negative, service itself's got the upper hand. If they do it too soon, they won't have enough momentum to get up over the hill. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's the simplest. That's the simplest way I can put it. For people who know about this stuff will get it straight away, and normies, what I call normies, will, which no better, no worse than people like you or me. They just not up to speed. Education, their education is just not up to speed. And this is why I'm here. One of the reasons I'm here, I'm not here to wake people up. I realise that. I thought I was to start with, and I was trying to wake all these people up, and it just backfire.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I realised that I'm here to help the people who are already awaking, and then pull them up into the sphere of, now you've got to learn for yourself and do all your own research. And you learn and teach them how to discern from and the dark and the light, and then they discern themselves whether which way they want to go, because there's no wrong way.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
You know, when the time comes and when the great event comes, for you, there's only going to be one road. For me, there's only going to be one road.
Yeah.
There's only one way, and the road you pick is the right one. Now, there's 3 ways.
So what is the great event? Because I know a lot of people have asked about that on the channel.
Yeah. The great event is basically a giant upgrade like that. Okay? Darwin, no. Christianity, no. It was an Indian guy, way back in, not the Bhagavad Gita, but one of the others. Evolution doesn't go up.
A quantum jump, then, basically.
It's a quantum jump. It just goes boom.
Yeah.
You know, all depends how dense it is to how long it takes. For us, it can take anywhere from walking, for me, like walking from here out that door that's just here, yeah, to about 30 years.
Yeah.
It all depends on where you are spiritually, physically, mentally, right? About 70%.
It's not something someone will physically see, like a giant, like, I don't know, like fire, it's not something someone would physically see. It's more of a consciousness jump than a type of understanding.
Yeah, but some people are going to see a rainbow wall. You know, like there's a movie out, I forget what it was. These ladies go into this rainbow wall thing, and everything's different.
Annihilation.
Changed. That some people they've started to actually see that before the movie came out, but they're trying to say that these psychic people are seeing this because they've seen the movie. Now, I know that through watching a lot of mediums and that on YouTube and stuff like that, and people like channels that I like to watch, like Edge of Wonder and more spiritual channels. I can't think of them at the moment, but even Dolores Cannon said, for some there'll be a wall, for some there'll be a bridge, a rainbow bridge. For some, you just like looking out the door. And for some, it's going, and these are the ones I feel real sorry for. It's going to be like pushing yourself through concrete. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you can feel every bit of concrete around you, and there's us on the other side going, come on. It could take them 5 or 6 goes to get there, but they might have a 3 or a 5 year, 1, 3, 5 year gap before they try again. But they will get across. We'll get 100% across who need to go across.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not all souls are meant to go this time. They reckon about 90%. Armstrong said about 90% of souls are going to be ready to go this time. They were worried that it was only going to be about 60% when I first started channeling. But by the time I finished channeling, because I haven't channeled for a few years now, I just sort of meditate and sort of take in stuff. So I don't get, I still get the information, but I don't get it verbally anymore. And I've got to trust myself. And that's the hardest part, as you and Jared know, Richard. The hardest part is believing in yourself.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Not what you can do. Now, I've seen you and Jared work, and you fellas work magic. You know, it's how it's supposed to be. But to a person who wants to see a ghost going, nah, and like that, your stuff's boring.
Yeah.
Okay. The same as me. Like, to a lot of people watching your stuff today that like your type of stuff might find me totally boring and unbelievable. But that's fine. I'm not here to be believed. I'm not here to pander to someone's ego.
Yeah.
And that's the reason I decided to do your show, because if I can reach one person and get them on the path that would not have normally gone on the path to go quick, instead of going through that mud, because it is going to be hell for them. Yeah. I've done my job.
That's brilliant.
And that's my job, you know. And you know what they're finding out as well is the ones that are left here and stuck in the barrier, right? The service to selves and the satanic ritual abusers, right? They're finding they're needing a lot more loosh. Know what loosh is?
No.
Loosh is a term coined by Bob Monroe as negative energy coming off us when we're angry, or getting killed or getting tortured, and the certain entities, the Jinn, the Draco, and a few other corporeal beings, like to, they use that as energy, food. They use that as food. Where Celestials use light, love, and universe energy to feed themselves. And that's where we're going. And they've been having to take more of the Adri and Chromie bit. I don't want to say the word in case you get in trouble. And they've had to do more SRI, you know, SRA, sorry, satanic ritual, bits and pieces. And they've got to the point where they've lost so many soldiers because they're in such disarray that they're bringing themselves out to the fore, out to the front. And this is what we're seeing in America, all over the world, with this little bug, I like to call it. And what that is what you're witnessing is liken it to a boil. You get a boil on your face or your bum. It's got to fester up and it's got to pop before it can heal. This is them in their death throes, coming up to the surface and popping, and they're coming out. Names are coming out, and these are just the first names. You wait until some of these names nobody's ever heard of. They're in behind the shadows. They're secret. They're sick. They are just. But you've got to love them. I give them love. They're the ones that need the most love, because they're the ones that need saving the most. And it was really hard for me to start with. I used to say to myself, I ain't saving, and I still swear at them. You know, I ain't saving them bastards. You know, I ain't helping them. But through meditation and keep getting told they're the ones that need it the most. They're the ones that need it the most. The people who, you know, the people who are already on the right track, we've got to let them go and let them go on the track. Now we've got to forgive these people. Some will take it and take divine forgiveness, right? I don't give the divine forgiveness, right? It just comes through, and it comes through everybody that's doing it. All the light workers. A true light worker forgives everybody. Okay, a true light worker doesn't have a big ego. You get a bit of an ego, you know. Everybody does. Otherwise, you wouldn't be you. That's what makes you you. That's what makes you you. Your individual self is your ego. Okay. And that's what it's all about. It's all about moving from dark to light, and we are the fallen. We are the ones that have fallen, and we're the ones we've been waiting for to pick ourselves back up. And at the end of the day, it's some will make it, some won't. Most will make it, some won't. But I found that thing. You know, Alice has got a really good saying, and it says, what has happened before will happen again.
Mm-hmm.
What is going to happen has already happened.
All this has happened before, and all this will happen again.
Oh yes, many times, many times.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the first time in the history of the known universe that a planet has ascended, taking or as many of its inhabitants as it can with it, according to Armistice. So, now I talk about Armistice as if everything he says is right. Now, I've had many arguments with Armistice, and I've tried to prove him wrong time and time again over the years, and I haven't been able to yet. When I think I've got him and we've had a big fight and you won't, and there's no contact for quite a while, until I learn something new or something hasn't come out yet, and then something will come out like Trump winning the election, or like Obama being the runner, right? You go back and look into my old notes before Obama got in. I said Obama was going to be controlled, and he was going to be controlled by the cabal, and he was going to be the runner, and he was going to do their dirty work. It's exactly what he done. We had a fight over that one, and I've just learned over the years that he's been right every time. So, in the end, I'm working with someone that's supposed to be like a god to many people, but to me, he's just Armistice.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm questioning him. He don't like it. They got egos. They definitely got egos.
Mm-hmm.
But they're good people, and they're always forgiving. As soon as you're, and if you're right, he'll tell you you're right. If I'm right, he'll tell me I'm right. Like the Fibonacci sequence and the Mandelbrot set. You know what they are?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Right. Now, the Fibonacci sequence, we're going through a black hole. Right? We've been going through a black hole for a really long time. Right? The whole solar system. Basically the whole. So, the whole universe is going through a big black hole. Okay?
Right.
Now, where we get the Fibonacci sequence is the universe going around the outside of the black hole.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that gives us the Fibonacci sequence because the black hole doesn't go straight; it goes like that. It's windy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like time. Yeah, time goes like this. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And where we get the Mandelbrot set is the forward motion. Oh, sorry, I've got to do it this way. I'm looking at the TV. The forward motion gives us the Mandelbrot set because it keeps coming back in on itself. Because the Mandelbrot set goes back in on itself. And
I was on Facebook. So the universe is going through a black hole. Aren't universes aren't black holes part of the galaxy? There's one at the center of our galaxy, for example.
Yeah, but there's bigger ones. It's very convoluted and it's really hard. I didn't understand it to start with.
Yeah, sorry.
I didn't understand it to start with. But what we call a black hole,
right,
and scientists call a black hole,
right,
are probably two totally different things.
Right.
The black holes that they see crush everything.
Yeah.
The black hole we're going through is massive. I'm talking
big.
Probably 100 times bigger than the universe, at least. And stars are getting trashed. They're finding out that there's all these flashes coming from the edge of the universe.
Yeah, that's right.
And the other thing they don't want you to know, right, is light only travels at 136,000 miles per second or whatever it is.
Yeah.
when it's in an atmosphere, right?
Mm-hmm.
A light from one planet to another is instantaneous. It's scalar. It's not. It doesn't take 186,000 light years for that light to come from there to here. It's there like that. Light is instant until it hits resistance, and then the photons rub together.
Yeah.
And it makes light.
Okay.
And time works the same way with electromagnetics. And the only reason that we basically hold memory is because the brain, and the brain doesn't actually hold the memory. The memory is held out in the ether.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the ether then just gives you what you need. And scientists have even proved it. Just recently with some device they had, an electromagnetic device, and it was reading the thought. They had it 4 foot away from the body, and it was reading the thought about 100 millionth of a second before it hit the brain.
Mm-hmm.
And it was reading it in the brain.
Well,
so there was about 100th of a second gap between it hitting the outer device and then it hitting the brain. So
they think that they actually believe that any thought that we have it 6 seconds before we actually are aware of it, which is very strange when a lot of our thoughts are responding to things that have just happened. Richard, you've gone very, very quiet, my friend. Do you have any further questions? Because we're getting quite pushed for time, but...
I've just been listening to John. I just wanted to hear his... it's interesting, John, to see the journey... the journey you've gone on through this experience. I went through something very similar a long time ago. I was thrust into something very similar like yourself, as you had the accident. Mine was through life. I was born dead as well. I was actually, they told my family I was dead. And it's kind of interesting how you can be just thrust like somebody's put a rocket up your ass, pardon the pun, and just shot you through this experience. And it's just like, you go, it's like traveling at light speed, and everything you saw, it's there, but you've got to go back and access it. So it's like it's flashing through you, but you go, right, I need this bit, I got this bit. And then by the time you get to the end, you're like, I know, I can see it. I'm taking in what you're saying, and I'm trying to see it through my own experience. And it is something.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, that's exactly what I want people to do. Yeah, I want people to do, because everyone's got their own filter. Okay. Now, all I've ever wanted people to do is to listen to my story, but listen to it through your own filter, but use your own discernment. If you try and research, do some research, and if you've had similar experiences, you will relate to it.
Find the right people to share it with as well, John. That's an important thing. Find the right people to share it with.
Share it with,
it's very.
That's why I haven't shared for so long.
Yeah, it's very difficult to share it with people who have not had that experience, because to them, you're just bombarding them with stuff that is completely outside their comfort zone and completely outside their realm of understanding. And I've had experiences.
See the eyes glaze over. Yeah, they're gone.
Yeah, you just sort of like, you might as well be talking in a language from another world. So it is. I know. I can sense it. I can know it's quite something, my friend. It's quite something to go through, and I hope people take something from what you've said, and I hope because I know what you've just described there, John, in your interview. Quite a few people have experienced.
Yeah,
in their own way.
Even I know a lot of people that have experienced it. Similar.
I have a very similar experience to you, John, and I have. It was profound. It changed me, and
it changes you.
I've been trying to tell people for years how it made me. It changed my world view, and sometimes I forget that I had that experience because of my life. I forget that I went through something so profound, but it's just getting it out there. And I think from what I've heard of you saying, I would put it in chunks, John. Right? So I would talk about Armistice. Armistice is his name?
Armistice.
Armistice.
That's what this was for. It's in chunks. Yeah. I didn't follow it.
Yeah. You can't, John. You can't follow it because it's like that. It goes. This leads there. Yeah. That goes there. That leads to there. That leads to there. And then by the time,
and then you jump to there and
yeah,
and it never works. It's just a conversation between friends. That's why I like to look at it.
Yeah, that's why I haven't said much.
Yeah, that's fine. But like you start as a conversation between friends and you leave.
Yeah, I wanted to know the story.
No matter what's said, you leave as friends, and that's the way it should work.
John, I've got to admit, your story has been quite inspiring to me, and there's a lot that I can relate to. And I would definitely like to have you on the channel again, because I think you've got a lot of interesting things to say. So I would definitely like to come back and speak to you again, because there's loads of other things that the lady we had on last week when you were talking about life codes.
Oh, I love her. She is great. Yep, she's onto it. Jessie. Yeah. She's triggered memories in me that I talked about one or two of them today that I've only just got, I didn't even get to talk about going into Mount Shasta or going to Pine Gap and watching them put together TR3Bs.
Would you like to do a part 2 of this interview then? And if so, would you like to do it in the next couple of weeks?
Well, yeah, it's up to you guys. It's just chat. If you want to review my material a little bit more, and then because I work best with Q&A. Yeah, because I tend to go off on tangents, and that as you say, I go off on this road, and then there's a fork going that way, so I go that way when I should be keeping going that way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Q&A works best for me with my sort of one foot in life, 1 foot out of life mind.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, we could come up with something. I'm sure we could come up with something, John, because I know you've got so much information in there, and there's things I have questions. Yeah, I have questions for things that I've learned, and I know the same. It works the same ways because I know people have asked me for questions that they want to know from my experience of like the Council of 12 and different things. So definitely, 110%. There's more to be discussed here.
Yeah.
And we'll have a chat. I'll have a chat with Jared, and me and Jared will have a chat with you, John. Yeah, and we'll talk about an idea of doing something.
Yeah, I agree
because
with that.
It's up here, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's so vast.
I'll when this is over, I'll email you my new email address. You can still get me at my old email address, but I've changed email addresses.
Okay.
But I'll give you my new email address as well, so you can use either.
Okay.
Because if it goes to my old email address, it'll get sent on to my new one anyway.
Okay.
But yeah, I've really enjoyed talking with you, and I hope I've helped someone out there. That's the only thing. Like, for a little while there, right at the start, when I was talking to you, not today, but right at the start when I met Terry, right? And I realised I had these abilities that I was always thinking of them as a curse, not abilities, and to be able to help people.
Yeah.
And I get a bit of an ego. This is why I said to you about earlier.
I think we've lost the stream again. Well, what we're going to do, Rich, I think what we'll do... I've just switched to the credits there a bit prematurely. What we'll do, I think, Rich, we'll end the show there. And shall we come back? We'll have a chat with John and we'll see if we can come back because we're getting on now for... we're getting on for 10:30. So... And I think some of the viewers are ready for bed. So we'll see if we can have a quick chat with John off camera. John, I want to say from the bottom of my heart, my friend, thank you very much for coming on the show. I'm looking forward to working with you in the future, and let us know in the comment section below, guys, what you feel about having John.
Like how easy to get into the ego.
Well, we've got him back. John, we've got you back. Oh. We've lost the stream completely now, guys. If you just bear with me a second, I'm just going to have to bring the call back up just to say goodbye to everyone. As I said, I want to say thank you to John. Thank you for everything here. I don't know if this is my internet's gone down, because that's one of the reasons we were late, because my internet kept playing up. I'm still waiting for these guys now to... we're just going to see if we can join the call a second and get something back off them. I'm sorry if I'm being cut off a little bit, but just going to keep this going. Yeah, guys, we're going to end the show here. Thank you very, very much for tuning in this evening, and I hope we will let you know what's going to happen very, very soon with John and with the rest of this interview. Thank you, guys. Take care. Richard, still there?